What's going on YouTube? Today is another video for the GT500 guys. You cannot own a GT500 without knowing about the problems of brake dust. And it is a painful thing to have nice expensive wheels and take your car out for one little cruise. For example, this was 60 miles round trip to and from, and these were completely clean before that little drive. And now they are basically brown. So today we're going to show you the answer to fixing that. And that is the POWER STOP Z26 ceramic brake pads, front and rear. So we'll do a little video of getting them on, and at the end of the video, provide you a example of how they look after another 60-mile drive, and how much of a big difference it is from factory pads to the Z26. We'll pick it back up. All right, we got the rear wheel off. We will knock out these pins that hold the retaining clips in, and then pick it back up to show you how easily these rear pads just slide right out, and then slide the new ones back in after we grease up the backside. All right, one passenger rear done. Again, just knock your pins out. Once you move that out, the retaining clip here will fall off. Then you can pull your pads out. Note that the front pad has the metal bracket on it. And here's the new Power Stops. That'll be the outside pad. So you just put them back in the same way factory was. Here's the inside pad. So yep, slide those back in, and then slide your retaining pins back through after you put some grease on the metal of the pads. Make sure you grease up the backside, and then you put a little bit of grease on the retaining pins, slide it through the retaining clip on both sides, and then make sure they're all the way in on the backside, and you're good to go. One rear. All right, when it comes to the front calipers and pads, all it's holding the caliper on are two, one on the top and one on the bottom, T60 Torx bit. So once we remove those, then the pads will simply slide down and out the bottom, which I'll show you here once we get the caliper hanging freely. All right, now I got the caliper off the car. As you can see, I removed the rotor, covered up the hub with rags so that I could help me rest the caliper. Even though I got it attached with a bungee cord, I got it resting on the hub right now in order to remove the pads and keep the caliper from getting scratched up on the backside. So what you're going to do now that you got it upside down is push on the backside of the brake pads, which I may not be able to do with one hand to film it, but oh, there we go. You push on the backside of the brake pads inward, and as you push them inward, they will come off the mounting tab on the backside. I don't know if you can see it in there, but they're U-shaped onto there. Ooh, there we go. And then boom, slide right out. So we'll remove both of these. Also, special note, before you remove these, of course I couldn't film it with two hands, but while you have the factory pads in there, which are going to be thinner than your new pads, you want to use a bar, something that's not going to be harsh, end of a hammer, what have you, in order to work the pads back in, to push the piston back in to the caliper, so that the new pads will fit over your rotors when you go to install them. So make sure before you remove the pads to push the calipers, push the pistons back inside the caliper before trying to insert your new pads. So we'll get these pads out, get everything cleaned up. Then we'll grease the backside of the new pads, slide them in, and show you as we get ready to put it back together. All right, we got the new pads lubed up on the backside, slid on. As you can see, caliper cleaned up. So now we'll go ahead and slide this to the back, put the rotor back on the hub, and then start trying to line it up in order to get the caliper bolts, top and bottom, line back up. These are supposed to be one-time use bolts, the T60 hex bolts. Supposed to be one-time use and torque to 136 foot-pounds. So leave it to you to either buy new bolts or go with the stud kit, or roll the dice with reusing the factory bolts and blue Loctite. We'll pick it back up in just a minute. I got the fronts all fully assembled, and the two T60 torque spits retorqued to 136 foot-pounds. And while you're there, just take time, go back over the caliper, check everything out, clean everything up, your nooks and crannies while you got it apart, just for the detail purpose of it. I'll be cleaning out the wheel wells too real quick while I have the wheels off, and then we'll go ahead and switch over to the other side, repeat the whole process for the other side. I started with the passenger side for the video, but we'll pick back up after the other side's completed and go through the breaking in bedding process for the pads. All right, I lied. We got all 4 corners done. And before we put the wheels back on, because they are filthy, gonna wash them up, barrels and all, get them spick and span, so that when we do our test for what brake dust looks like after 100 miles, we have a really good comparison. As you can see, it is bad. Bad. So we'll pick this back up when we do the seating bedding process of the pads. Alrighty guys, if you stayed this far in the video, we're now at the point where we're back on the ground. Everything's torqued, wheels are torqued, and we're going to go through the pumping the brake process and then taking the vehicle for a drive to get the new pads seated. So as soon as you get in, you're going to have some air in the line or system from pushing your brake pads back up. And again, before you get in the car and touch the brake pedal, make sure that you put your brake fluid reservoir cap back on and is secure before you start pumping the brakes. So let's go ahead and pump the brakes. And almost 2 pumps, 3 pumps. It is rock hard. Yep. So 5 pumps and it is completely rock hard pedal, no bleeding off to the ground, nothing. All right, so I'm gonna jump back out real quick and check the reservoir. All right. And everything looks good on the reservoir. Nothing overflowing, no issues there. All right, we're going to pull her out and take her for a drive. All right. Get the AC going. I am melting. So Power Stop's process states that they want you to do 5 moderate to aggressive stops from 40 mile an hour to 10 mile an hour in rapid succession without letting the brakes cool down, and do not come to a complete stop. If you're forced to come to a stop, complete the stop either by shifting the vehicle into park or give room in front of you so you can allow the vehicle to slightly roll while waiting for the traffic light. The rotors will be very hot, and holding down the brake pedal will force the brake pad to contact the rotor and possibly create an imprint on the rotor. This imprint may contribute to the creation of a brake judder. So after we do that 5 times from 40 to 10, then we will continue the break-in process with 5 more moderate stops going from 35 to 5 miles per hour in rapid succession without letting the brakes cool. So let's go ahead and get out of here and start doing the 40 to 10 mile an hour 5 pulls. Just trying to get out of the driveway while holding the hear what's going on. Pretty weird sounds. Stop sign, that feels good. Back road, so shouldn't be any issues with getting up to 40 and stopping 40 and then hard to 10, go again, that's 1, 40 again, brake again, a little aggressive, more aggressive, 10, go again, that's 2. Again, it's 5. Cool down, and then we'll do the 35-mile-an-hour to 5-mile-an-hour 5 times, and that should be a wrap. We will end up testing in about a week after, depends how many days it takes to get 100 miles. Once I get to 100 miles, we'll finish up the video to show how much brake dust the pads have put off. Let's get up to 35, brake hard to 5. It's 2. 3. 4. 5. So according to Stop Tech, that should be sufficient for getting the pads hot. We're going to drive it around now just to put some miles on them and make sure everything's good. Like I said, we'll wrap this video up after 100 miles have been completed just to verify how much brake dust these new pads put out. Also, while I got you here, shameless plug, we got new t-shirts on the website. I'll post a picture here of what the back looks like. But if you're interested in supporting our channel, our business, that'd be great. I'll drop a link in the description and pick one up. We will finish this for the review. Alrighty guys, we have successfully got 101, 102 miles on the car since doing the pads. I did primarily aggressive back road driving. That way I could try to get as much, wear and tear out of the pads to try to see what is it going to be like the maximum brake dust that they put out. So I did do the majority of the driving back roads, on and off the brakes hard, turns, etc., just to get a, worst case scenario for brake pads. If you're doing highway cruising and not really on the brakes hard, you're going to have even less brake dust. But wanted to be able to get you guys the best test possible, and let's check it out and see what we got for brake dust now. All right, look at them on the back ones. You can see they are still black. You can see some brake dust, but overall, I mean, I got a really wipe. If these were the stock pads, they would be brown, the whole wheel. But the real test here is a front wheel. And everybody knows the front wheels turn completely brown. And as you can see by this, 100 miles later, they are still very clean. So, like I said, if you do mostly like highway and whatnot, not on the brakes, you should be able to expect, to go a few drives without having to wash your wheels at the end of it. That's one of the biggest things that I always hate when taking the car out is the thought of having to come back home and clean it, at least clean the wheels anyways, because they would just turn brown so fast. But another one, we'll get a swipe test here on the front. So like I said, there is a little bit, but it is literally like night and day difference with these pads and brake dust. So you see some hit back in here, but overall it is a huge difference. So the last thing I wanted to touch base on was the performance of these pads. Obviously the brake dust is night and day difference from the factory pads, and is a huge plus when it comes to maintenance of keeping your stuff clean. But one thing I do want to mention is the performance. Most people aren't going to really pick up and notice much of a difference in its braking capabilities, but I did notice that it did have less bite, initial bite when you hit the brake pedal, like the factory pads have. I mean, the factory pads, you just tap the brake and it almost wants to put you through the windshield. I didn't feel like these are aggressive like that in any way. They are definitely more forgiving with your brake pedal pressure. And in addition to that, I didn't have any squealing, any squeaks, like the factory pads would do when you come to a stop sign or intersection. If you need a set of these Power Stop pads for your GT500 or any performance parts needs, please shoot us an email at bowenzmotorsports@gmail.com or contact us by phone 540-317-0479, and we'll take care of all your performance parts needs. Catch us on the next one. Thanks.